Well, hello and welcome to the DC UK podcast. This is season 4 and it's episode 5. And as always, I'm your host, James Graham. As you'll see, alongside me on that side is Daniel. He's back. Say hello, Daniel.
Hey, so I have to say, for the first time in this millennium, DC United has gone back-to-back wins at the start of the season. How incredible is that?
And not just back-to-back not back-to-back wins, but back-to-back
I
clean
yes.
sheets.
And I think with a stat as dumb as that, with people saying like first time this century, I think you have to say first time this millennium.
It just sounds better, doesn't it?
Has done that. But no, aside from that, like feels really good having 6 points on the sheet, number 2 in the East. In a world that seems to be going wrong on all sides. The most normal thing right now, not only is DCU, among the leaders in the East, you've got Arsenal top 4.
Oh, they're back in. Are they 4th?
They're 4th.
Okay, that's where they belong.
That's about the most normal thing that I can like really touch on these days. In 99 days, I'm getting married, and then who knows after that? So with DC winning and Arsenal in the top 4, I'm just feeling so good right now. How about you? How are you doing?
I mean, my team didn't exactly do well, so that's back to normal. We got beat 4-1 against Sheffield United. So, yeah, back to normality, back to crappy away form. But I'm just looking at the league table. We're currently 8th in the table. We're sat on 55 points. We've got a game in hand on Blackburn, who are on 58 points. So we can move up to 7th at the very least. But, we'll see what happens. Chris Wilder, who's our current manager, who used to be manager of Sheffield United when they went from League One all the way up to the Premier League, he's done a really good job, and I can't argue with it. He's helped us beat Manchester United. He's helped us beat Tottenham Hotspur. He's going to help us beat Chelsea in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. He's going to take us to Wembley. Yeah, but that's Middlesbrough.
That's good.
And that's Middlesbrough. But, we're here for DC United. But before we get too much into the show, just obviously want to mention the District Ultras charity thing that they're doing. So they're raising money to help go towards the Special Olympics. So go and hit their Twitter up, hit their Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. Go and have a look at their raffle, their donation page. There is... we've donated a DC UK Cherry Blossom jersey into that, so go and bid on it. Go and help raise some money for a well-deserved cause. So go and do that. But, should we crack on with the show?
Yeah, and I just want to say, sort of aside from, the Cherry Blossom kit that's up for grabs, there's just all sorts of really cool stuff. There is just all sorts of signed memorabilia, pictures, and just stuff. It's really cool. It is a buffet of DC United history. Also, shout out to DC United with Pride, having one of their LGBT kits up for grabs, along with some
That's
other
a signed
goodies.
one as well.
Yeah, so just a really cool thing they're doing. And yes, benefits Special Olympics, and yeah, shout out to the Ultras.
Yeah, it's something that they do every year. And I'm just glad we can finally, as DCUK, be a part of that as well and actually help towards raising some money for, like I said, a well-deserved cause. Onto the show, as always, for this season. We start off with Guess DC Who. Now, if you're watching and you're listening and you're thinking, it's just James and Daniel. Where's Tom? Well, unfortunately, he's not able to join us. He's stuck at work and he's not home, but you never know. He might suddenly join us. You never know, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. He's going to miss out on this, though, so I am just going to get the player up on screen for everyone at home and for you, Daniel, so you can see who we're looking at. I'll take away the subscribe and like, but if you could do that right now, that'd be tip-top. So that's the player. So you can see he's an outline. And let me just get that page up. So this player was born in Dallas, Texas on June 14th, 1990. So he's younger than me. And that says a lot. He started, so he won the Parade Boys Soccer National High School Player of the Year in 2008. I am genuinely reading this straight off his Wikipedia page. And then he signed for Club Bruges in Belgium. Yeah, so he started off his career in Belgium. After the 2009 Under-20 Men's World Cup, he was sold to Mainz, who was being managed by current Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel. So he actually spent some time with Thomas Tuchel, or Tuchel, would depend on which way you want to pronounce it. He played there for 3.5 years, mostly appearing for the reserve team. Then was announced on July 3rd that he'd been picked up by DC United in a waiver draft. He made his debut on July 27th against New England Revolution. He started, played 79 minutes, but we lost 2-1. He scored his first goal in the following month after netting a pass from Connor Doyle. Now there's a blast from the past.
Yeah.
Connor Doyle. This player has represented the USA at under-17s, under-20s, and under-23 levels, but he's not made a full senior US men's national team appearance. He played for DC United 68 times in total, scoring 5 goals. He spent some time on loan at Richmond Kickers, and he has retired in 2018. So he retired at the age of 28. So fairly young to retire.
Yeah.
And he has one honour to his name, which he won the US Open Cup in 2013.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he is he's a midfielder.
Okay. Gosh, both a great, good, kind of a great achievement that year on an awful season. Man.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble with this one. Trying to remember that 2013 squad and
you don't really want to remember that squad, do you?
Yeah, 2014 and 2012 were okay.
It's just that middle bit.
That one, man. Okay.
Any wild opening thoughts on it?
This is one of those things where I'm gonna have to try and spend some time in my mind palace while the show goes on, but I probably don't even have a clue. I will.
A Texan midfielder who played for the club.
Yeah.
Yes. So we'll come back to that later on in the show. We'll see if you've had any wild thoughts about it and if you can come up with any guesses. But as always, during the show, if you've got any questions whilst we're doing this live, feel free to pop them in the chat. We'll get to them as and when we see them. So don't worry if we haven't seen it straight away, but we will get to them as always. Right. Back to the main order of the show. News. So first up, we've seen since the very beginning of this season that you've been able to wear the DC UK jersey with a lot of pride, and it's beautiful to see.
Yeah.
But you know what? I finally got it. I finally got DC United's 2022-2023 jersey, and it's not only just the official authentic jersey. For the first time ever, I got the name and number printed on the back. So
that sweet personalization, I love it.
It is beautiful.
I'm happy to say I was somewhat involved in kind of those early days in 19, helping out with some pub quizzes and filling in any way I could. But man, those were good times.
Oh, it's nice to have that. It was just like, you know what I need to do? I need to get DC UK on the back of my shirt and put the year that it all began 2019. Mm-hmm. So that's that. But weirdly, I tweeted it, and what the hell? Because it's currently sat, because I look at the analytics on it, because, I'm sad like that. And I looked at it earlier, and it was sat over almost 18,000 views.
Yeah.
I was just like,
It's
what?
it's it's the crypto,
Yeah.
sort of wave right now. And in fact, I think like the reason why so many celebrities and brands are like kind of jumping on that these days is because it is so wildly hot that like, that is a viable strategy to. I don't even think a lot of these people are honestly like in it.
Yeah.
Some are definitely throwing around, crazy money around with that, but it is a huge thing for their brand, and the visibility just from these weird, NFT Ethereum accounts going around. The second they even sniff something crypto, like people just jump on it.
It's bizarre, because it's,
Yeah.
like I said, I was genuinely blown away, because it was just like, okay, so people are retweeted, fine, no worries. Then it started kicking up a bit, and then people from sort of who are interested in XDC and
Mhm.
the Xinfin network, I think it's based on. It
Yeah.
just kicked off on that, and it's just suddenly just exploded. I'm like, I didn't sign up for this. This is a bit mental. My
Oh,
phone's
you
gone.
did.
My
That's
my phone had gone. I mean, it's not quite as mad as when I tweet. I don't know whether you remember last. When did Biden get sworn in? Was it 2020 or 2021?
that was 21.
So January 2021, I did the video of Wayne Rooney scoring,
Yep.
putting that ball in, and did it as the presidential race, and then that just went absolutely mental. I wasn't. There was thousands of likes and hundreds of retweets and everything. That was just crazy, but
Yeah.
that's how it's felt over the last couple of days since I've had the shirt. But yeah, so there's that. Other bits of news on my list. Bill Hamid's gone to FOTMob, goalkeeper of the week for the second week in a row after his 6-save clean sheet. So he made one more save than the week before.
Yes.
So still, we've not conceded through the back yet, which is a bit of a weird feeling for us at the moment, I think.
Yeah, and we'll get into it, but he put in kind of a, I would say, Tim Howard-esque performance against Cincinnati. That credit to them, and we will dive into this, but they while they lost, they rebounded in quite a way, and it was one of those games that if a call goes one way or another, like that could have been a much different result. So
Yeah.
yeah, credit to them, but credit to Bill for just being an absolute madman between the sticks. He is really kind of that difference maker right there.
Yeah, he really is. Just a quick shout out to Carlos Duran, who's just subscribed to the YouTube channel. Thank you
Hey.
very much. Other bits of news that came out today. That Andy Nahar has signed his multi-year contract. So he signs until the end of 2023, and we've got the option for 2024. This was rumoured over the top of the last week or so, and it's now been made official. Happy days. The lad's got what he needs and what he deserves.
Yeah.
And the club has got what they need and what they deserve, because they've got a fantastic player who had an awesome 2021. And
And I just saw or they had his player profile in the announcement, and it's a testament to like how good he has always been, but just how young he was kind of breaking out
yeah,
into MLS and then over in Europe. He's only 28 years old. Like that is that's kind of like the target prime age for players. And so having him get this nice multi-year contract with an option is super good, and I'm thrilled that he signed, and we get to enjoy more of him yeeting defenders. So I'm happy for that.
Oh, when you say that, just that video of him
Yeah.
nutmegging Blaze Matuidi and
Yes.
then doing a pirouette. It's
Yep.
just like, oh, what a day that was! What a game! He
Yeah.
just, I don't think he could do much wrong except his haircut. I'm not particularly pleased with the white and
The
blue.
streak, yeah. It's a variation on a theme, you
Yeah.
had, players kinda going with the frosted tips,
Oh,
last season.
they need to bring
The
that back. Every time if you score your first goal of the season, you have to get frosted tips.
Yeah. That great blizzard, of 2021. I hey, he's a guy who is making a statement in his career right now. So you know what? Just go for it. Get yourself known, get yourself out there. Let people know that you're just one of the best right now.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he's in his prime age as well for
Yeah.
being at the height of his game. So fair play to him. Other bits, and I mean, news, kind of news, but it's just a little statistic I wanted to bring out because last year Golo Kamara was all about his minutes per goal because he was insane last year.
Yeah.
And he's just carried on this year because he's been coming off the bench. He's been he's banged 2 goals in 2 games, and that's equated to so far a goal every 28 minutes.
That's crazy. I mean, best start of the millennium for DC United, and then probably a another Golden Boot performance by our bench striker. So I
It's just
I
mad.
love it. It's just jokes. I love it. No, that this man, I the season's still young, but there's probably a hunger in him, especially with the fact that DC United was kind of shopping him around
Yeah,
over this transfer window. They're I in one way or another, he's either you know staking a claim here in DC, or he's like, hey, I'm going to make the most of wherever, how this shakes out with where he goes next. So, if that just keeps getting goals for DC, if he keeps that up, I can't be mad at it. I'm
no.
I'm super grateful.
I mean, that's a great little comment from Stu there. Ola's clearly going for that Ronnie Rosenthal super sub title. I
Yeah.
mean, if you don't know Ronnie Rosenthal, just go and look back at football in the 90s. Then you'll know who Stu is on about right there. But and then other bit of news that I did see, and it's not related to DC United, and it's related kind of to one of our rivals, and a player who used to play for the New Jersey Pink Cows. Bradley Wright Phillips has announced his retirement.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he's had it. I wouldn't say he's had a fantastic career because is the son of Arsenal legend Ian Wright.
Hmm.
Um, he had his time at Man City, didn't really take off there. Spent a bit of time in the lower league in league football with Plymouth, with Bristol City, with Brentford, with Charlton Athletic. Eventually moving over to MLS with the Red Bulls. But you know what? He found his home, and he had a great time at Red Bulls. And you know, if he ended up at DC, I don't think any one of us would have argued that he's a proven goal scorer in MLS. And
Yeah.
I've just got to say, fair play, good career. Deserves his legendary status at those guys. But as an Englishman, he's had a good career. So fair play, Bradley Wright Phillips.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. I always feared in a respectful way
Mm,
whenever he was, either in DC or we were away in New Jersey. He was a guy that just kind of up there with like CJ Sapong, where like he
yeah,
was a guy I would just like. kind of have my eye on all the time during the game, and just seeing, it was never really a case of like if, but when with him a lot of times.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that great player, and it's nice that he found a place where he flourished in MLS. He gave his all, and that is, that's a great um that's just the ideal player to have, who comes to MLS, and just has a resurgence in his career. So, aside from the usual European, or with the Europeans who
Yeah.
come for kind of their smoke break, pre-retirement party. It's wonderful seeing players like him who come in and take it seriously, and then in a way, completely um, put their careers on a pedestal there. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's it from the news really. Which leads us into taking a look back at the last game that we had, which was against FC Cincinnati. So a game that was a bit of a mixed bag. We walked out with 3 points somehow. And that was thanks to a 98th minute, or 97 minutes and 58 seconds to be exact, penalty from Gola Kamara. Nyman sent off at the TQL for a second year in a row. Really doesn't like that stadium, does he?
He is he's a mystery to me, especially after that, where he is a guy who, I've always really liked his presence. I think, he's young, and he's going to make those rash decisions, and maybe put that boot a little high, maybe put those studs out a little bit, but you know it's a learning experience, and I don't know. It's a young season, and hopefully he can kind of, calm that down a little bit. I still, he's a good quality midfielder. I'm excited for Knaus to come back and to see how those two pair together. And no knock to Skundrich, but it's just, I want to see Knaus back, and just see a solidified midfield there. But kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned at the top of the show, so the first time we've won our opening 2 fixtures since 1999.
Yeah.
Or as Dave Johnson put it, we're going to party like it's 1999.
And Birnbaum sure did.
He sure did. If you've not seen the clip, get yourself over on Instagram. I don't know whether I think they tweeted it as well. He was
I
absolutely loving it, wasn't he?
Oh man, I can't even. That is wholly original, and I'm gonna petition Epic to put that in Fortnite or something, because that is that's just a fantastic. That's gonna be remembered. I mean, we're definitely that whole GIF is just gonna get lots of play in the supporters group chat. So I'm excited. Just and man, credit to Birnbaum. He's really loving his football right now, as they would say,
Yeah,
and I think he's a great presence in the locker room. He's kind of one of those glue players who's really keeping everyone kind of in the game. And yeah, I'm just excited to see more from him this year.
yeah, definitely. Last bit on it, in terms of headline stats, it's the
Yeah.
third game in a row we've scored from a penalty.
Yeah.
It's going on from the end of last season. We've had 3 penalties in a row and we scored, but no team in MLS history scored four penalties in 4 games. So
Oh,
if we get a penalty against Chicago and Gola Kamara steps up and takes it in the 97th minute and 58 seconds again, that's history made right there.
hopefully it's a little sooner, maybe around,
Yeah,
the 75th minute or something like that. Comes in,
yeah,
you know, either gets knocked in the box or another handball. Because mostly because of the fact that you got to keep that average time down.
oh, absolutely, yeah,
Um, So, if we can have like a goal every 10 minutes from it,
Yeah. I mean, every
it's
28 minutes,
a
I'll be
100 goal
very happy with
season. Yeah.
100 goal season.
um no, there are so many facets to that game that like I said earlier, a call here or whatever really sort of determined how that game turned out. But aside from that, a really smart adjustment that Lasada made was he kind of put the Lasada system on the back burner.
Yeah.
He, at halftime, he took them off the three back and brought in kind of a very, very familiar 4-2-3-1 situation. And what was really interesting about that is that, not only did it kind of create a little, a bit of comfort for DC, in sort of just being in a familiar place, I guess mentally,
Mm.
it allowed them to kind of stretch the field more than they had with the five midfielders. For whatever reason, they were a little more confident moving the ball up, and credit to Brad Smith who had some good work in that game. I think the team just they adjusted and they did really well with that adjustment. So
Yeah.
super happy about that. But this was a game that was so tight, and yeah, I'm interested to hear what you think of it.
Well, I mean, the first half that we had, there was two clear-cut chances where we could have been 2-0 up at halftime.
Yeah,
As you rightly mentioned there, Brad Smith, he had a good game. He certainly did. He didn't really put much wrong, apart from that effort where he really should have got a shot off quicker and actually tested the keeper, because I think it was blocked, and then it fell to Griffin Neo, who had the rebound, which was then cleared off the line.
yeah,
Um, so there was that opportunity which we should have really put away. And then there was the effort from Eddie Flores, and
Shreddy Eddie. I
well,
think
he shredded the corner flag. It
I
was
think
horrendous.
I think he was surprised just by how open he was. I think that was just
Yeah,
one of those moments where he held it for a step too long
yeah,
for whatever reason, and I think he kind of surprised himself just by how much space he had to work with. Because a lot of times DC does not get that easy breakaway. That's not really
no, true.
something you see with this team. There's just they tend to get the ball up, and then their key is kind of playing that high press and getting position back high up the pitch. So I think just in that sort of realm, he was not sort of used to that, or I don't know, but like that was a howler if there's ever been one. Just ran
Just
too close to the keeper, put it way sideways, and just a bad attempt. But yeah,
I, when he got that close, I was expecting him to just dink it over the
yeah,
keeper.
just
Just
chip, yeah,
yeah, but if he was able to use his right foot, he could just put it in the far corner, just curled it in.
yeah,
But no, he's only got a left foot, and what's annoying me more than anything is I want him to do well this year,
hmm
but so far in the opening two games, he really just has not done anything, and he's our DP, and it's just
yeah,
like, right, something's got to change, and something's got to change quickly, because summer's coming up, and another window, and
hmm
that will come around very quickly. Taxi's coming in, which might happen sooner, on some rumors I've seen online. Might happen
yeah.
in the next few days, but
I'll have it known that when I set my Twitter handle status to "We Want Taxi," that's when the rumor started.
yeah,
So, I won't say that I've had a hand in this, but I have a feeling it's going to happen.
if things are it feels like it's this, well, generally speaking, like the background of our show today. There's no smoke without fire.
Yeah.
Oh, that should
Yeah.
be the show
It's
title.
there we go.
Oh, why didn't I do that? Damn it.
Yeah, and I may have been a little overexcited on Estrada because
He had a good
not
first game.
yeah, good first game, but kind of a little bit out of it in the second game. So I don't know.
I'm not going to put too much blame on him, mainly
No,
because he didn't get a lot of service in that first
no,
half,
and that
and
was rough. Yeah.
I looked at the stats before the show and the passing breakdown and the average positions of each player.
Hmm.
Griffin Yao was more central than Estrada.
Yeah.
Now that shouldn't happen. Griffin Yao is a wing player.
Yep.
He should not be playing through the middle. Whilst Estrada was primarily on the left side, so that kind of shows you what Estrada was trying to do just to get the ball.
Yeah.
So I can't blame Estrada too much. Yes, he was taken off, and Kamara came on and netted the penalty, and yeah, somehow we walked away with 3 points. As Dave Johnson said, fire up that bus, start the engines.
I
Oh,
love Dave so much. He's
what
a
a
treasure, and yeah, I love it.
yeah, he is such a legend. But yeah, if you guys out there have got any thoughts on that game, I know we're a little bit after it now, but do let us know. If you watched it, brilliant. Let us know what you thought of it. Did you stay up to the 98? Well, the 101st minute, I think it was, when the full time whistle blew. It was a long game.
Yeah.
It was a long old game, but not as long as the RSL Seattle match where they had a 2-hour weather delay last weekend. I can't imagine doing that again, because I know we've had some weather delays, especially when you end up playing down in Orlando. Blooming Floridians and their weather. Anyway, next up, as you can probably tell from the show title, the fact that you can see half the badge underneath me right now. We do have Chicago Fire, who've changed what feels like their badge for the third time in 3 seasons, because they just can't seem to stick on anything right now. But some
The new
little thing,
the new one's fine. It's
I
good.
like the new one.
Yeah.
That last one that they had.
Yeah.
Oh, that was horrendous. Who thought of that color scheme of dark blue, dark red, and
Yellow.
dark yellow?
Yeah.
No.
Man. I know. Yeah. When I first saw it, like the reference I made was it looked like and I don't know how many people would be familiar with this, but it looked like the Magic the Gathering logo.
I think I remember you mentioning
card
that,
game.
actually. Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, man, that is so. If it wasn't for like kind of the difference in colors, like it was wildly close to that. But yeah, no, this one's clean. It's bright. It is directly identifiable as Chicago. Doesn't really play with the fire motif, which I think is kind of better for it. Because Chicago's just a city with a lot of identity and kind of playing off the flag. That logo it shines a lot more than what they've worked with before.
Yeah, to me, it has a feel of their original logo, as well. And to me, that, as you rightly say, it's identifiable as the Chicago brand.
Yeah.
So yeah, clean, nice. Can't argue with it. Excuse me. Plummet, I still got that cough. It's nearly gone now, though. So some stats about this game at the weekend. It is on a Saturday evening. Really need to sort the colours out. I should test these things before going live. But it is on March 12th, so it is on Saturday evening. 7:30 Eastern time, which obviously will mean 6:30 p.m. for you, Daniel. 12:30 over here in the UK. Yeah, it's going to be a late one. It's a rough one, but I'm spending it up in the northeast with my family, so it's going to be a nice weekend. So but I'm still going to watch it, obviously. So it is at Audi Field, so it is at home, and from the weather report, it is going to be a cold one. It's from some of the chats that I have seen, it's going to be reminiscent of the Atlanta game back in 2019. And and I remember again watching that and seeing the weather, and it was cold, it was wet, it was windy, it just looked horrendous. Yeah, glad I'm not going to have to suffer through that. I'm just looking at the temperature.
Yeah.
So it looks, it's going to be like -2, -3 degrees Celsius.
Yep.
So that's the actual temperature, but the real feel, so what it actually feels like, is around -11, -12.
Hey, I tell you what, I think they're pretty used to that up in Chicago, so they should feel right at home with that. But
Yeah.
Y- you know, DC, the weather factor is always wild. Like, particularly in the spring, how I remember it, you'd have it all over the place. So I think these players, they should show up just fine. It's a home match. For what it's worth, I'm expecting a win, and I think based on recent results for Chicago with who was it? Orlando and Miami,
Yeah.
not not scoring against them, but also not conceding any goals. Um,
Yeah.
could be weird, but kind of looking at who they have in terms of weapons, it's one of those things where you can't quite uh you can't really determine anything from those results. And if you sort of underestimate them, this could be kind of like one of those punch in the mouth games. So hopefully, with the form that Hamid is on, and hopefully, if just the team operates better in transition, it's going to be a test, and
Yeah.
I'm excited, but it is a home game. The Audi Fortress is strong, so I'm excited to see how this goes. It should be a
Yeah.
fun game.
It should be. Just a couple of things on head to head. We're unbeaten in the last 3 matches against Chicago as well. So I think it's 1-2 and drawn 1. So pretty good recent record. We've won 7 of the last 9 at home against Chicago as well. So really good record at home. We've only drawn 1 and lost 1. And then I've just made a point about the no team has scored 4 penalties in 4 games in a row in MLS history. Then, literally just before we came live on air, Goff tweeted out the injury report. It's Robertha's gone, Garay's gone. All that's left, and it's a questionable. It's Knaus, and he's
Yeah.
currently got a groin injury. So, and that is questionable. So that's the closest we've had in an incredibly long time to having a completely clean medical record.
Yeah. And if they keep it that way, this is, yeah, when we talk about last season, and it was the story throughout the entire season. Like, there wasn't a time where that injury list had a bunch of notable names on it, or really tested, or I would say went beyond testing the depth of DC United. I think it stretched it kind of beyond its breaking point. And really they played the best they could with that situation. But yeah, it was a little scary kind of with Gressel, and seeing how he is, but he's back in training, and he should be fit for the Chicago match. So yeah, no, this is fantastic. Yeah, with Knaus questionable, I imagine he'll probably get subbed in at some point. Yeah, no, feels good. Feels really good.
It really does. Other things I've got to note: key players for them. Obviously, their
Mhm.
major player is Jarrod Shakiri, who I think we all know who he is, unless you've
Yep,
been living under a big rock recently.
very
Then you
familiar
should.
from FIFA 12.
I mean, I think we're But I think there's something else that we're more familiar with, and I think it's the fact that he used to play for Stoke
Yeah.
and Liverpool.
Yep.
So yes, he's got a mean left foot on him.
Yeah.
Mean left foot. Other
And
key players,
only 30.
yeah, he's been around a long time.
Yeah.
But then saying that 2012, he would have been what 20?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so not doing too badly for his age.
No.
Then Casper Chabalco, and I think I pronounced that right
Yep.
first time. I'm going to take that. He's obviously recently signed from Philly during this last transfer window, and he's someone who has scored against us previously. So he's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's again someone else who's got a good left foot on him, and he knows where the back of the net is. So he's someone we really need to keep an eye on. Hasn't scored yet this season, as you mentioned. Chicago have yet to score this season, but going on to the next key player, they've yet to concede a goal. That's
Yep.
thanks to Gabrielle Slonina, who is 18-year-old young goalkeeper who is really destined for big things. He's looking good. He's
Mhm.
he's definitely a future US men's national team number one, and so far he has been likened to Gianluigi Buffon.
I love it. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah,
great. That's
he's
a heck of a name to be associated with.
yeah, he is just so. Getting past him is going to be a tricky one. So we need Kamara and Estrada to be on top of their games, to add their 2-goal tallies so far. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough game. I'm looking forward to it. Whether we'll douse the fire, as this show is aptly named, I don't know. It's going to be an incredibly tough one. I can't really call it too many ways. I don't think we'll get beat. We're at home. It's not a game we should even contemplate getting beat by. Even though they've got a great keeper, they've got a great midfielder in Shakiri. They've got a really good striker in Chabalco. We still really shouldn't be looking at a defeat on this one. We've got that great record against them over the last 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still think we'll win this one. But Tom, who isn't here this evening, has predicted. Now, bear in mind, guys, we've said Chicago haven't scored and haven't conceded. Tom, if you're
Have
listening
a
right now, if you're in the chat right
men's
there,
national team keeper on their
yeah,
roster,
do you want to?
along with our Timmy Howard.
Yeah, he's gone with 3-2.
That's bonkers.
It's a wild prediction.
That's I mean, I assume he's giving us the win on that one. The 3 goes to
Yes.
DC. That's crazy. Like, I'm not even anywhere in that ballpark.
No.
I want to say like this will be a very similar result to what we had against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
In fact, I would almost go as far as to say I think it's interesting. I think Chicago has firepower. Ugh, that was a bad pun.
Oh no. No.
And I think both teams will concede. And I don't know. I'm not super confident on our attacking third yet.
Yeah.
Not super confident. So unfortunately, I don't know. This is weird, but I predict a 1-1 draw on this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's understandable why you would go with that. So let me just type that in. Daniel. 1-1. I'm still going to go with a win. And Stu's just gone in with a prediction there. He is going with a 2-1 win. So
Okay.
both teams scoring. I mean,
I like it.
it's close to my prediction, but not quite. And Stu is obviously a member of DC UK. So if you want to come and join us, just head over to dcunitedkingdom.com/membership.
And
Always
Heather's calling out Tom on the disrespect. Honestly, Tom,
it is disrespectful.
Disrespect
Yeah.
on the house of Hamid. sir.
And Heather has just pulled in with her prediction, which, lo and behold, is actually my prediction. It's a 2-0
Okay.
to DC. Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
I still think we're gonna have our opening 3 wins, our opening 3 clean sheets, which I've looked back and based on years gone by, and there's games where we've won on penalties.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting those down as draws because in modern day terms those would have been draws.
Yeah.
We have never done 3 games opening with 9 points.
That'd be wild.
That would be incredible if we can do that.
The only thing that and a lot of people are saying this is a soft schedule. I don't think Chicago is as soft as people are kind of portraying them as at this point. A couple things that are really kind of sticking out in terms of what I'm kind of picking on with DC is their transition just has been poor. You rightly pointed out in that first game, Smith played a bit too high, let a couple runs get past, and in this game, that was sort of the early part of the game was, especially with that offside that got called back. I can't remember the guy who got that called on, but that was dangerous, and we're not going to get lucky with those calls or with those VARs as much. It is nice to see some calls kind of going DC's way this year, but that's not something you can kind of lean on. And I would also say, with the servicing in the box, that was not great in the Cincinnati game. So I think DC, they just have to stretch the field. I think they need to, as I've said before, rely or I guess get more physical with the teams, because they just seem to just get caught out and they aren't sticking kind of with guys like they normally should be, or as sort of like the Losada system kind of needs them to be. So just need to see a lot more defensive presence, and then just a lot more proactive balls into the box. Because you look at it between Cincinnati and DC with the shot markers, Cincinnati just had way more, and they were just going for any and every shot. So more, just more chances. That's what this team needs.
Definitely. That's 100%. So just to recap the predictions. So Tom said 3-2. I'm not sure he's really thought this one through. I mean, I think that first game's gone to his head. When he got that scoreline, absolutely bang on, but
No, this is So
I
mean, 3-2 will be fun to watch. That's going to be an
100%.
incredible game, but
I'm all for that. Absolutely.
I just think it's going to be a KG 1-1. That's just this team still needs to find, and this has been the story since last year, is they need to find their sort of mojo in the attacking third, and that's just not there yet. So we'll have to see what happens.
But you're happy with your 1-1?
Yep.
Cool. And I'm sticking with my 2-0. So next up, let me get the video ready. It is MLS 101. So Daniel,
am I putting myself 5 minutes?
I've got the timer ready.
Okay.
I've got the stopwatch ready, so I will time you on this. But before we start, do briefly tell us what is it you're going to take us through this week.
So, being that VAR or VAR has kind of had a big presence in the opening games for DC United, I wanted to kind of go over, what it's all about and where, where it sort of steps in, where its limitations are. To also give some context to where it kind of started. So I think it's got an interesting history and how it kind of bounced between Europe, the United States, and then eventually got wide adoption it's super interesting. And then a little cameo from Howard Webb of
Oh, you don't
Professional
want to spoil
Referees
it, yeah.
Organization fame. So uh,
Cool. Right, I
uh,
will count you in.
yes.
I've got the stopwatch at the ready. So let's see how long you take to do MLS 101 all about VAR. So in 3, 2, 1.
So the idea of VAR started kicking around in the Netherlands kind of in the early 2010s. I want to say like 2010, 2011, but it didn't get implemented until the 2012-2013 season for the Eredivisie. It was mostly operated in a testing capacity and then eventually moved on to wider implementation through the International Football Association Board. However, FIFA president Sepp Blatter at the time was very much against VAR and talked about the purity of the game. He wanted it to be pretty much calls on the field. Purity of the game, very funny coming from the guy who in 2015 was fostering one of the most corrupt scandals in FIFA history. So with the new president coming in, Gianni Infantino, he was much more receptive to it and then really kind of gave a green light to having wider testing in the world. So in 2018, it was tested in USL in a match, but I was not able to find what that match was. But it was implemented in full in, interestingly enough, the Australian A-League. And then in 2017, Major League Soccer, it was in 2017 in the A-League, and then later adopted by Major League Soccer. This led to FIFA utilizing VAR in the 2018 World Cup, and then followed by Serie A, Premier League, Champions League, La Liga, pretty much the big European players. The important thing to know about VAR is that it was never sort of created to take over the on-field referees. And the important distinction to make is that they are kind of a security blanket or a double check for the referees that are on the field. So to picture it, you have 3 guys or, guys and girls, whatever it is, in kind of a media room. Think of it as like just a blank space and they've got like TV set across. It's a very Minority Report. And they are looking at all these different angles of the action. And really what happens is if a call or if something happens with a goal, a red card, foul, whatever, they will always have kind of a double check going on. So they are on a 3-second delay. This gives them time to kind of review footage. And if something comes up, they can speak to the referee and say, hey, we want you to double check this. Or, anyways, I'm sorry, I'm getting lost in my thoughts. So where it doesn't necessarily apply or where they can't really make a bunch of calls, at least in MLS, is in offside. So in European leagues, they do have a virtual offside line that is used and can sometimes overturn offside calls or make offside calls. That has never been implemented in Major League Soccer. And that is thanks in part to Howard Webb and how he sort of views the role of VAR, for better or worse, in MLS. For him, he's not a guy who wants VAR to kind of get caught in the minutia of the game. So, he doesn't really want them sort of stopping the game or wasting time. His other thing is he's not comfortable with the idea of virtual offside because there's just, as opposed to other European stadiums, they don't have kind of like the angles that are set up at those larger leagues. So he's sort of this guy that, he has embraced the technology, but he has rightfully, I'd say, taken a mostly hands-off approach or, sort of had VAR as a sort of entity that backs up the referees. So in essence, you've got people watching screens up top and they are talking to the referee and they will say, if something happens, they are sort of in his earpiece. And then, if it comes down to it, where if he needs to review a red card call or a yellow card, some sort of infraction or a goal, he will, do this famous, sort of TV box line and then go to the screen to review the footage. And that is, in essence, how VAR works. Where'd I come in on?
Well, where do you think you came in on?
Oh, I've got, man. So I glossed over I have a whole bunch of paragraphs on my laptop right now. And I glossed over a bunch, but I want to say that was probably like a solid 4.
Okay. So your time,
Hey,
4 minutes,
get in there.
47.88.
Get
That
in
is
there.
incredibly close. So fair play on that one. I mean, what can you say?
That
That
goes
was a
by
good
so
overview.
fast.
I mean, the big thing for me is, to me, MLS does it uses VAR in a great way.
Yeah.
There is things, and this is not picking on MLS in any way. This is just picking up on VAR as a whole. Is that they really need to get into the minutiae of it, as you said. To me, that's where rugby does it incredibly well. So if you've never watched rugby union, you're in the USA, go and get the Rugby Network app. It is fantastic. It's got a lot of stuff on there, and you can watch pretty much every single game that is played in Major League Rugby, including our very own Old Glory DC.
Nice.
I've actually watched a couple of games, and man, we are rubbish.
Oh no.
We are awful.
That's a bummer. Oh man.
But it's just great to see that rugby's, there's a proper full professional league. They've got the conference, so it's proper an American take on rugby. It's rugby union as well, so it's not. There's 2 versions of rugby. There's rugby league and rugby union. If you follow rugby union, you're doing it right. If you're following rugby league, you might as well just not watch rugby.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, but it's great. They use they call it TMO, so they call it a test match official, or television. Sorry, not test match, television match official. And they're constantly watching the game, and they're always in the referee's ear saying offside or around the neck or something like that, depending on what the actual incident is. So the ref can then just blow, or wait until there's a break in the game. Then they'll have like the big, over here in England, they'll have the big television screens in the stadium where all the fans can see it, and they'll just watch that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
The fans are involved. They hear what's happening. If they've got the refs mic'd up onto the actual speaker system, but the refs are always mic'd up for TV at home.
Yeah.
So you're always hearing what the TMO is saying, what the referee's saying, hear what the players are saying. Which, if you're a football fan, that's probably not a good thing, because there's a few expletives being said. But in rugby, you don't get that. You've got huge respect for the referee, and it's great. It doesn't take too long. They know what they're doing. Obviously, they've had a lot of practice with it, and it really doesn't add too much to the game. There's a few times where it has. Point in case there was a game between England and South Africa, down in South Africa, and half is meant to be 40 minutes, and it ended up being 60 minutes.
Wow.
Excuse me. Because of all the delays and the stoppages and everything. But then they can also say the ref can stop the time as well, so you don't go into added time. It's literally once the 40 minutes is up, the next stop and play, that's it. End of the half. So for me, they do it in the right way. There's a lot football can learn from it. It's not to say that we should take literally lift and shift it. There are some things which we shouldn't do, but which is literally look at every single thing. We shouldn't do that. The football flows a lot more. It's a lot quicker than rugby. So, we do it. We do it well in football. There's always room for improvements, and there's always things that we can learn from other sports. So that's my take on VAR. So, but if you haven't,
For a spell, well, at least during the MLS's back tournament, they actually had it set up where they had the referees mic'd up, and when they were conversing with VAR, they had the
Yeah,
full dialogue between them, and they have more or less stopped that, which is kind of a shame, but I can understand because all the teams were at that complex in Florida, and it was probably really easy to kind of like get all that going.
yeah.
Whereas kind of with logistics between the different stadiums, that's probably a different kind of order. But no, yeah, no, that's super cool. And yeah, I want to say, this is probably something that will be adjusted and fine tuned over the year, but
Yeah.
VAR is pretty much set to stay.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely not going anywhere
Yeah.
anywhere anytime soon. Jesus, just takes me off guard. Oh God,
Is it England in the 80s all over again? What is this?
we've got scurvy. That's what it is. But yeah, that's VAR really. I mean, that's
Yeah.
something we could end up chatting about for quite a long time. But we do have a couple of questions that have come in. One on, well, both come in from Instagram. I'm just going to check and see if we've had any more through. No, from the looks of it. So first question came through, and it was just after the Cincinnati game, actually. So someone left a comment on one of the posts that I put up there. And I don't think they were particularly happy, especially with who was it? Who went off injured? Well, Nyman was sent off, and I think obviously Knaus has been out injured. So two of our
Yeah.
main central midfielders out, which leaves us with Jafal and
Yeah.
Skundrich, light in the midfield. And Victor has asked, owners out or front office out, or one has to go because this squad is unacceptable. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a very hot question. It's something that's I don't want to say this or the other because we don't know the ins and outs fully of what happens and who picks the players, who to sign, and things like that. Hopefully, that comes in a mini series later down the year.
Yeah.
Still working on that with this awesome person who's going to hopefully we're going to build this mini series. But Hernan said it in the post-match presser where we are light in midfield and something has to change on that.
Yeah.
There is something does need to change big time. And I don't think it will be the front office because there's been a huge amount of change in the front office this the last 6 months with obviously Lucy who's come in, Sean Howe who's come in as director of football. We've had first team coaches come in. We've had new performance analysts, this, that, and the other. That's all changed in the front office. What hasn't changed is the owners.
Mm-hmm.
Now, be whatever your thoughts are, the current owners have actually done quite a lot for the club in terms of things like we've got Audi Field. That's fantastic. That's great. Yes, a lot of hard work went into that, and there was some friction and things didn't go quite according to plan. But they haven't really put their money where their mouths are.
No, and there are a lot of facets kind of going on just around the kind of like you want to say with like the supporter groups. There was a lot of lack of communication that happened, and sort of rightfully there was I want to say, was it Tom Hunt or something? There was a guy who was ousted because he really kind of failed on a lot of fronts when it came to how DC was positioning themselves with their supporter groups, and made a mountain out of not even a molehill. There was no molehill there. It was I to me being the kind of the union guy that I am, I am very much like ownership. Upper people are always the problem, so
Yeah,
that's where I'll always be. But no, there has been so much change with the front office, with a lot of the support positions, new fitness trainer, and just all this stuff going on. It's too fresh to say, they need to go.
yeah,
It it was a rough transfer window to see. Being that, but there's still, the window in and of itself is open till May 4th. It's a totally separate window that I think, and maybe that's another topic for a MLS 101. But there is a window that's still open right now. But yeah, it took a hot minute for any movement to really
mm,
happen
yeah,
this year. Now, whether that meant, things had to fall into place in terms of getting some GAM, getting some transfer money, between the um, Paredes and Areola moves. Maybe just things had to happen. But yeah, no, it's too early to say, especially with Losada. This is, you got to give a coach and sort of the people who he surrounds himself with, or herself, 3 years. You
yeah,
you you have to give that. Otherwise, you end up just in an awful state. And so, yeah, no, we'll just have to see how this shakes out. So,
yeah,
not really
definitely.
making a decision at this point.
Yeah. And I don't know whether obviously the fact that the ownership group also owns Swansea City as well. I don't know whether that plays into it or not.
Yeah.
It's one of the things where obviously they've got to help fund Swansea City, who aren't in the greatest financial state,
Hmm.
because they've not been in the Premiership for so long. So they don't have parachute payments. They've got this fantastic stadium, which
Yeah.
obviously still will need maintenance and all that jazz.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. And I know the Swansea City fans, they probably want to have something change on their end as well. So we're both club fans are in a similar sort of position where we want the investment, but because the ownership kind of own two clubs, it's kind of difficult to put your money into one. So they're probably trying to get this fine balance. And I don't envy them on that side of things. So
No.
yeah, there's reasons behind stuff why things happen, and I don't think any of us will ever be privy to it. But yeah, it is what it is. We just got to hope that we get some good signings in and things kick on.
Yep.
So, next question and the last question: will we see Jafal start on Saturday night? Now, this depends on whether Knaus is actually questionable and whether he's fit. But it could be a thing where Jafal starts and Knaus comes on later to get some minutes in. It just depends on how fit Knaus actually is.
But then, do you really want Skundrich and Jafal?
That's it. It's a tricky one, isn't it? You
And
want someone with experience in there, don't you?
exactly, and I am not knocking in terms of talent or what they can contribute, because actually, for what it's worth, Skundrich, put in a, it was modest, if good night against
Yeah,
Cincinnati, but for sure, yeah, Knaus just brings a lot more, just overall to that position. So yeah, I think you could. I think you bite the bullet and you have Canal start and you have Skundrich, uh, just like usual. So keep it going.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been impressed with. I have been impressed with Jafal. What
Hmm.
I've seen of him so far, he's got a good pass on him. Whether that means that it could be Knaus and Jafal starting, because Knaus obviously sits back that bit, and Jafal is obviously the kind of guy who would go a little bit further forward.
Hmm.
We could see that as well. So there's there is different ways. I mean, yes, we've only got three central midfielders. To be fair, there's also Garay as well,
Right.
who was now completely off the injury list.
But even then, that
He's completely inexperienced, but
exactly.
he
I
would
don't
never
think you.
start.
Yeah.
But he's obviously could be someone who could go on the bench. So it could be a case of we might have Jafal and Garay on the bench, or we could have Jafal and Skundrich on the bench. No, sorry, Jafal and Skundrich and Garay on the bench. It's something that we can potentially play around with. So we do have the options there. Once Nyman's back from suspension, then we technically have five, technically six with TKD as well. Because I don't know what the heck's happened to him. He didn't even make the bench last week. And we had a spare spot.
Yeah.
What has happened to TKD? That's
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. And there you go. But that was the last question that we've got for the show. The last bit that we got to do is get some guest DC Who answers. Let me actually just take that question away. There we go. So, just as a reminder, this guy was born on June 14th, 1990 in Dallas, Texas. He he won the Parade Boys Soccer National High School Player of the Year in 2008. What a title to have. But it wasn't his only title. We'll come on to the other one later. And after that, he signed for Club Bruges in Belgium. After the 2009 Under-20 Men's World Cup, he was then sold to FSV Mainz in Germany under Thomas Tuchel. So current Chelsea boss. And he played there for 3.5 years, mostly appearing for the reserves team. He was then signed by DC United on July 3rd, 2013, after being picked up in the waiver draft. Then he made his DC debut 2 weeks later against the Revs. He then scored his first goal for the club in August 3rd, after netting a pass from Connor Doyle against the Montreal Impact. And then Jeffrey... Oh, I've just given it away there. God damn it.
Oh!
Whoops. So Daniel, who do you think it is?
I don't even know. You even gave it away, and I like that name doesn't even.
No.
No.
So the guy who retired in 2018 at the age of 28.
Wow.
Jarrod Jeffrey. Now, I know some people who, if they're watching from or listening from their Discord channels, they'll know all about Jarrod Jeffrey. He seems to be a bit of a cult hero. Don't know why, but it's Jarrod Jeffrey. He made, 68 appearances for DC United, so it's not like he didn't play for us. Scored 5 goals. Was on loan at Richmond Kickers. But next time, I will try not to give it away straight away.
That was a time. That was probably the height of me going to DC United games.
And you still didn't know? Has he just completely passed you by?
Yeah. I don't even know if passed me by. I was asleep as he went through town. I don't know. That doesn't even strike me. Hell, I remember Taylor Kemp. I could name Taylor Kemp.
Who doesn't remember that volley? That volley against RSL. Everybody knows Taylor Kemp.
Yeah, no, that is well played on that one. That one that got me.
I mean, it was a toss-up between him and someone else who was around that sort of time. I won't use him because I think it's a bit of a difficult one, but it was... where is he? Rob Vincent? Englishman.
Where are you getting these names? Like
Wikipedia.
Okay. So like when you do your selection, for guest DC Who, like what is your method? Do you just do you have a bunch of names that you just have in a? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So there's literally a list of everyone who's ever played for DC United.
Yeah.
So it's literally just gone through that and just gone, Who shall I pick this week? I do keep a record of who I've picked, so I don't pick the same player twice. But
Right.
yeah, there's a lot of players on there, so this feature can go on for quite some time. And obviously, as time goes on, we have more players, so it just feels like it's never going to
Yeah,
end.
it's perfect.
Yes,
I just can't wait for the Bronco Boscovich episode. I'm gonna light up when
I'm going to do
that
that. The
one.
one when you're
Yeah.
off.
I love it. Great. That would be poetic. Yeah.
It would be. So that is the end of this week's show. We are, like I said, we've got Chicago Fire this weekend. We should be back. Just checking, thinking about it. Yeah, we should be back next week, next Thursday, usual time. But as always, Daniel, where can people find you?
Yeah, so brand new handle. It's Professor DCUK on both Instagram and Twitter. Yeah, no, like I always say, just find me in the chat. I love kind of keeping track of what's going on in the supporter group, and yeah, no, it's a good time, and yeah, no, I go all over the place with what I post. So if you like soccer, but whatever else strikes your fancy, give me a follow.
I mean, I just love that time when you were doing anime with footballers' heads.
So I've run into a really busy time lately, so I haven't kept that project up, but I will have something again soon. I've got some stuff I'm working on.
Absolutely, it'd be awesome to see. But from me, any way you want to help support the show, whether it's following us on socials, whether it is giving this little video a like, or subscribing to the channel, subscribing to the podcast, just hit the link, which is bio.link/DC United Kingdom. You'll see it in the show notes just below. There's loads of links on there, whether you want to buy some merchandise like Daniel is wearing there, which is a lovely cherry blossom jersey, an actual proper jersey. And how is the fit, Daniel?
It's fantastic. I love the way it feels. And like I said, like it is one of those kits you just have to kind of see in person. Just I love kind of like the white stitching you have like right here along with the DC flag with the cherry blossom stars. When I first saw it and I saw kind of like just the splash of cherry blossom, I was a little bit like but I was like, no, it's a cool shirt overall. But once it came in the mail, then you see it in the flesh, like it is just a super, super cool kit.
There you go. So get yourself on that and just buy one. Why not? It's not the most expensive thing. It's not as expensive as this thing. I can tell you that for free.
So, what did you have to pay total for that? What does that come out in pounds?
Many monies.
Fair enough.
I'll let you know privately on that.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah. But yeah, so head onto that link, bio.link/DC United Kingdom. It has the merchandise links, it has the cherry blossom direct link on that one, and all the links to the socials, so you can follow us and just hit us up. And also on there is the membership as well. So if you want to come and join us over at DC UK, we do have a private chat group, so that is always banging all the time. Literally, it feels like 24/7. Stu, bless him, came back to 387 unread messages. That just shows you how banging our chat is. So come and join us. Come and contribute to that. It's always brilliant, and everyone is welcome. Though it's completely free to do so. But if you want to help contribute to the running of the show, making this as big as possible, then there is a pay tier as well. So you'll also get an exclusive members t-shirt. Other than that, that's pretty much it. So as always, we have to sign off with what we say, which is until next time, Vamos United.
Douse the fire.
Douse the fire.